Hello, dear Full Circle listeners. Charles here. I know it's been a very long time since you've heard from us, and we're so sorry. We recorded an episode and we're ready to bring it to you, and then we suffered severe technical difficulties that forced us to go on an unofficial hiatus. No, really. The laptop that I used to edit, blue screen of death. The iPad that I was using as my backup, crashed. The desktop that was last resort crashed. And then I cried. But we're back up and running with some new equipment, and we're going to bring you that damned episode because we refuse to let you go without the deep dive that Martha and I go through of the highs and the lows of everything going on around the world and the country with our community, because someone's gotta. And we missed you. So, with this episode that we're calling the Almost Lost episode, we're inviting you to travel back in time with us, all the way back to March 13th, 2025. Enjoy.
Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to my first recording of Season 4. This episode is brought to you by my return to the mic as a married woman and wine straight from the jug.
I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I'm your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome back to the Full Circle table.
Woohoo!
Hello, husband.
Hello, wife.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm married to you, and we're sitting across from each other in real life.
I know, right?
Recording in front of microphones. What the hell, man?
Yeah. I was running out of ways to find joy. So it was like, what the hell? Let's throw a wedding. Right? At least, we go down together or whatever.
I mean, why stop now?
Why stop now? That's funny. It was a great wedding. It was perfect.
It was. That was the word that I used every single time I talked about our wedding. Perfect.
Yeah, that's the feedback. I love the feedback. It was perfect. It was us. We just spent last night with some friends who were there, and they were raving about it. Just was us, and we did brunch.
Yeah. Because what's more perfect and queer than brunch?
That is true. That is true. I mean, we could have done a dance floor full of poppers, but half of our guests wouldn't be able to get themselves home because they don't drive after dark anymore.
Chaw.
And that was part of it, and cost was a factor. I mean, it was quite reasonable. We found we go to a lovely local restaurant a time or two each week, and they were delighted to host our wedding.
Yeah.
And I said the thing I didn't think about until after the fact was that all of our very queer and diverse friends would be comfortable. It didn't, and I'm always mindful of that, but in this situation, I was like, of course they will be. It never.
Right.
I didn't do any calculations before. I just knew it would be fine.
Right. It never occurred to me that they wouldn't as well.
And it was fine. It was great.
Right. It was always going to be.
We had the best flower girl ever.
Facts.
We had a formidable trans woman who wore a beautiful green dress and fairy wings and distributed petals.
Yes.
Yeah. Gaily forward. All the way up to the front where she dumped the rest of them on your head. Right. And then sat down.
It was fabulous.
They were silk.
And the fairy wings were definitely my idea because I was like, well, if she's going to be the flower girl, it just makes sense to me for some reason that she needs to be wearing fairy wings.
And black combat boots. And she was totally just representing queer joy.
Indeed.
And,
And even if that weren't her actual position, she would have anyway, just by being her.
But it was what did Tara and Brian say? This was not only the most fun wedding I've ever been to, it was the funniest. And I was like, well, good.
We are us after all.
Yeah, it was supposed to not be somber. Dear God, it's almost 13 years.
I know.
Yeah, it was, I mean, lighthearted was perfectly good.
Do you feel different?
I do. I didn't think I would. I really didn't think I would.
How do you feel different?
It feels good that we're married. I mean, it does feel good. You've been different.
I have.
Yeah. You've been so sweet and attentive, and it's like, you know, you finally don't think I'm fucking around with you and like gonna throw you out tomorrow or something. Like that's what I'm surmising.
I mean, you're not completely
it's real now.
incorrect.
It's like, okay, it's finally real.
Yeah, there is a lightness about me now. Like, you know, there's no more doubts. There's no more doubts or questions. Like, we're in this together. And I didn't really not believe it, but you know.
But that's a fair assessment given me. I mean, it is. Like, it's fair to say, didn't always feel solid.
But I'm happy, and
I am too.
And you know, just I'm your husband.
Every signature on our marriage license is belongs to a person of trans experience, because we got married the day before Trans Day of Visibility, and it just as I thought of it, I was like, oh, that's what has to happen right here, because our officiant was Josette Miller, who is the first trans woman elected to partisan office in the state of New Jersey.
That's
She's
right.
a Woodbury City council person.
Woohoo!
And she officiated, and she did a wonderful job. That kid is going places, and
Indeed.
I love it. I love it.
And again, like,
so the witnesses had to be trans too,
right? Like, she was one of a very short list of people that we were thinking of for that job, but she was the one.
Well, Kathy wouldn't do it. I said, "You got to marry us," and she went, "I don't want that job."
Right,
But
but
she walked me up the aisle.
she was the one who I like pictured in my mind.
Oh yeah, I could see it.
Like, everyone on the list would have done a fabulous job, but Joe was the one who I saw. So.
Yeah, and Joey would have been wonderful too. But like Joey and I do the dinner together. Joey and I have, known each other longer, and I mean, it's fair to say we're closer. And I wanted her to be able to be a guest.
Right.
That's what I wanted. But she did sign the marriage license. So.
Right. And I love that.
I do too.
And it didn't even occur to me until after the fact what you did with that. And I was like, oh, I see you.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I mean, we had a lot of trans folk there. We had a lot of queer folks there. We had certainly a lot of people of color there, and everyone was fine. Everybody was good. I mean, the staff was wonderful.
Yeah. And there were some straights in there too.
Yeah, I mean, they can't help it. They were born that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, there were some of them too. We had the cis-hets represented. We did.
God bless them.
Yeah, but it was that was the hardest part, was the guest list.
I know. Because like months ago, or at least that's what it feels like. When we were originally floating the idea of getting married and actually having a wedding, and who would we invite? And we just started, putting names down that we would like to come to see us get married. And we had to stop when we got to 300.
Something like that. And it could have gone over that. And it wasn't, I mean, the whole thing was like, a lot of people have said, do you really even know 300 people? Actually, yes. We actually do.
This ain't Facebook. We actually know these motherfuckers.
Yeah, we were only talking about people that we do know. And a lot of them like have known well.
Yeah.
And that list also included a lot of biological family who, frankly, have not been around on my side. So that was an easy cut.
There were also a bunch of what I refer to as obligations. Like, well, if we invite this one, we have to invite that one.
We have to and we didn't really do that. We really didn't do that. We sat and, said, who is, and I did make this a priority, who is most important to you to have there, because this is my third wedding. I got my cousin a boutonniere because he was the only one that was present at all three. But yeah, besides me. I mean, I got to be the bride, but so I had flowers. But I got him a boutonniere for the trifecta. And he gave a beautiful toast.
Really did.
I love that. So we had three toasts.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of your traditional things. It was so cute how I'll get back to that. It was so cute how very traditional you wanted certain things to be. Our friend wanted us to jump a broom, which she thought was very traditional, and you were like, "I'm not doing that."
Well, right. It's
No,
not.
it's not mine.
It's
No.
not my tradition.
Nope. And I ain't doing it just because some of the ancestors did. So
Right.
fuck that. So that was fine. I mean, that was fine.
And that's
But-
not just me. I've had a lot of black friends who be like, I ain't jumping nobody's broom.
Right. Yeah. Not in 2025 and not with the way things are going. But then Kathy had talked about walking us both up the aisle, less traditional. And you said, no, I want to stand there in my place and I want to see you turn the corner, which was enormous pressure. I was like, fuck, if I don't get this right. God damn.
Well, I don't know how you would have gotten it wrong.
You had this, like my bride will be a vision thing. And, was I?
Of course.
Okay.
I wasn't worried about that.
I mean, I was pretty fucking snatched.
A little bit. Snatched and stamped, I do believe I said.
You did say that more than once. I mean, I had help. Yeah. I really did. I had help. I love my dress. I was going to wear a suit, originally a white, skirt and blazer, because we were talking about just going and doing something really small, like really small.
Do you? Do you? Okay.
Like a Quaker wedding and then a few friends out to dinner in Philly or something.
Right.
And then thank God, the suits were hideous.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I sent them back and I ordered 2 of them because I thought one of them has got to be exactly what I want. Neither one looked good on me at all. So I immediately ordered, right as I was waiting for them to arrive, I found this dress and I loved it. And it's one of those dresses you order to, it's made to order.
Right.
So you choose your fabric and your color and your size. And I wanted white satin. And it was perfect. It fit perfect. Like I didn't need anything altered. It was T-length because it was a morning wedding and a gown didn't feel right. We got married on a deck.
Right.
Yeah, it just would have felt like too much to me. But this was perfect. And the thing that was kind of driving the suits was I have my mother's collection of hats and fascinators from the late 40s through probably through the mid 60s.
Yeah.
And maybe beyond because, she wore them for events, to church, So I have several. And I had found one that was black with white flowers that I really loved. It had a black veil, but we were going to put a white veil on it with maybe some black beads. And I thought it would be perfect because the one suit had black piping. And when we scrapped the suit, we scrapped the thing, and I bought a brand new white fascinator that really was perfect.
It was.
And Elizabeth took one of my mother's rhinestone pins from like the probably late 40s and just tucked it into the back of the arrangement at the top of my head. So that was my something old. You couldn't even say it really, but I knew it was there.
You were lovely.
Thank you.
You were a lovely bride.
Yeah, I put some thought into that shit. Unfortunately, we had a run through of my hair the Saturday before
Right.
the wedding, and that wound up being Black Tie Gay Bingo.
Right.
So I practiced my makeup for the wedding, and Joan practiced my hair for the wedding, and then I threw my gown on and we went to Black Tie Gay Bingo.
Right.
So we got to do that, even though AIDS Fund has handed the baton to Action Wellness.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, our good friends invited us to join them as their wedding present, which was a lovely wedding present. It was wonderful. All of our friends from the AIDS Fund were honored.
Yes.
And I looked pretty damn good.
You did.
So that was my trial run.
Yeah, Black Tie Gay Bingo was, I felt all the emotions
Oh yeah.
because, it's
And they
all,
don't,
it's already, the event that it is. And, you know, you feel, you have the sadness for, being reminded of all the people that we lost. But then it was also like when the executive director of Action Wellness was doing the speech, and I realized, wow, we're moving on. This is not what it's been.
right. This is moving on in a new direction.
Yeah.
AIDS Fund was originally founded to raise money for the care organizations that were treating folks with HIV, because at that point in the late 80s, there was no funding. I mean,
Right.
other than what we created for ourselves. And that's how AIDS Fund got their beginning. That was the genesis of the AIDS Walk, which
Right.
AIDS Fund, of course, did. AIDS Fund was, and kind of still is, I believe, the keeper of the quilt in
Yes.
Philadelphia, which we've proudly been part of several displays of the quilt. And in 2017, they pivoted because they realized, the landscape had changed, and they didn't need to be giving the money that they were raising. They didn't need to be handing to organizations that now were well funded. I mean, up until this administration.
Right. Yeah.
So they started doing micro grants. They started keeping the money that they raised, and they were doing micro grants for folks living with, infected or affected by HIV, and life-saving micro grants.
Oh, yeah.
Direct payment, catch up the rent. Pay the gas bill before it gets shut off. Get a refrigerator.
Yeah. If you need a refrigerator to keep your meds cold.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. And it was wonderful. And they did that from 2017 through the end of 2024.
Yeah.
And, part of this, it's corporate sponsorship for the kinds of things that they did is not really there
Yep.
like it used to be, because corporations by and large are cowards.
Thank you. I was going to use the word coward.
Yeah. So many, right? I used to love Target.
I know.
Not anymore.
Nope.
I haven't been there.
Yeah.
Like, I just, what? No.
If it weren't for the fact that our pharmacy happened to be housed inside of the Target building.
Well, right, but it's a CVS, and they just live there.
Right.
And I'm not retraining a pharmacist. I have a great pharmacist.
Right.
And team who have always been very respectful.
Yep.
Just in every regard. It's never been a problem to
Right.
get my life-saving medication. So, yeah, that we can keep doing.
Right.
We used
But
to,
I'm just saying,
we
if
used to
it-
grocery shop at the Target, for crying out loud. 'Cause it was
Yeah.
so convenient.
But I'm just saying, like, if the CVS weren't in there, we would never set foot in that building at all.
Well, not right now, unless they wise up. And this started with Pride, with the way that they backpedaled, Pride during 2024. Like, fuck you. And then this was just the big fuck you. The whole let's roll back DEI. Let's preemptively comply with Orange Shitler because whatever.
Shitler.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm really proud of my organization because A, I am co-chair of the Cultural Competency Committee, but B, we doubled down.
Yeah, you did.
We doubled down on the language around DEI that every new employee walks into to make sure that they understand that commitment remains strong.
Damn it.
And that, diversity does matter.
Damn it.
And it certainly matters, in an organization with a queer and trans-led program for
Yeah.
this community. I'm sorry, but we can't abandon those principles.
Because then what are y'all even doing there?
Well, right. So, I mean, that was wonderful that we were all in agreement. Like, well, one of us was like, well, should we take out the acronym? I'm like, no, we should say it 3 times.
Right?
No, we're not removing anything.
Exactly.
If DEI makes you uncomfortable, there's something fucked up about you.
That part.
I'm sorry, but if that makes you uncomfortable, if you're that insecure in your whiteness, you need therapy. You don't need us to drop the initiative.
Right.
For real. You need there. I mean,
And that's my new thing. I'm just telling people, stop being a fragile white. Just stop it.
well, that's what people don't realize, or care, I guess. I don't know. But, that this goes far beyond race and gender and sexual orientation. This is about disability, people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Being able to be a productive part of the workforce. This is about way more than skin color.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so deeply offensive that you can turn something, that has to exist because racism in America remains, rampant and unabated, and say we don't need it, and we don't need it. It was wrong. It did. No, your idea of a level playing field is white mediocrity being celebrated while everyone else is pretty much frozen out. That's what you love,
right? And to them, DEI equals black. So they think they're getting rid of black people by getting rid of DEI, right? And not realizing, not realizing how many people benefit from DEI policies.
Right.
It's way more than they thought, and they're getting backlash from way more people than they thought they would.
And they say it's not. I mean, I have to surmise that they're saying it's no different than affirmative action. And again, affirmative action was necessary. Affirmative action was important and shouldn't have been removed.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with checking in and saying, are we giving a fair shake?
Right.
Are we considering, where folks come from in finding the best and the brightest for our institution, whatever? Or are we just, doing what makes us comfortable? And that's why there's DEI.
Right.
Because that's what human resource professionals tend to do, is hire people they're comfortable with. That's what supervisors tend to do, is, if they are white, which many, many supervisors are, they tend to want to hire white people.
Right. And DEI is not just, we need this many black people, this many brown people, this many Asian people. It's why are there inequities, and what can we do to level that playing field so that there are not these inequities? It's a more wide sweeping thing than ticking boxes.
It is. It is. And it also touches on cultural humility and cultural sensitivity,
right?
And understanding the way that different cultures, all religions, and cultures affect the ways that we can effectively see each other and deal with each other and know one another better. Some of the things we've done at work, is really get into talking about each holiday as it comes around, not just the Christian ones.
Right.
But we talk about those as well.
Right.
We didn't stop talking about Christian holidays, but we said, you know what? There's other holidays.
Right.
And that's just included. I was happy. So in case you wondered why it took me so long to record, I was planning a wedding.
That was one thing.
That was one thing, yeah. Work has been busy. Work has been busy since November.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's gotten even more intense, since the inauguration.
For reasons.
Anyway, I've been really busy. One of the things that was cool that happened is in, last year, when we kind of started highlighting employees during certain months, they did a staff spotlight on me during Pride Month.
Right.
Yeah. Which was lovely. I mean, it was beautiful. It was wonderful, and I appreciated it. This year, they did one about me during Women's History Month, which,
right,
gotta tell you, meant a lot.
Yeah.
With the current climate and, the fact that one of my colleagues nominated me.
It was beautiful.
Meant a lot.
Yeah, right.
Meant a lot. And felt important. Felt good. Yeah, so that happened. But work's been insane. Like, they own me. Monday through Thursday. They do. Fortunately, I still have a 4-day work week. And then we got married right at the end of March. And And so I guess our new season was March, right? Started the beginning of March.
March 1st.
Right. And you've been carrying the load.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With some wonderful interviews.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the content has been great. I just haven't had to do anything. But that was it. We started planning the wedding like kind of mid-February, like toward the end of February, and that's what I've been doing with my like free time. Ha ha. Is planning a wedding, getting ready for that. Your sisters were coming in from Pittsburgh, which is great. They were both there. To see you married. Huh?
And everyone had a fabulous time.
They did.
Worlds collide. So many worlds collided at our wedding.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them knew one another,
or at least knew of,
or
each
knew
other.
one of one another. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of who didn't know each other,
Right?
but I know that new connections were made,
Mm-hmm.
which were great. I love that when that happens. That was a tough guest list.
It really was.
I don't know if we closed that conversation or just kept moving forward, but it was tough because the room holds 60 people.
Yeah.
60.
And I believe I said before we were up to 300.
Right. So, I mean, these were people who were close, who are near and dear. And we didn't invite anyone we have not met together personally. Like,
Right.
I don't think.
With the exception of my friend from upstate New York.
That I would have been meeting him for the first time. But like, there were a couple people we didn't invite partners because we don't really know the partner. And
Right.
yeah, y'all are dating and hey.
Right.
And it was really a space issue. Ruffled a couple of feathers, and I'm sorry, but not. Because it was important to me that you have as many of everyone you wanted there as possible.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, first only wedding, right?
That's right, damn it.
So that mattered. We had a lot of dance folk there.
We did.
And that's the thing. We could have had 6 times the number of dance folk.
Right.
But these were the close ones.
Well, that's how we got to 300 because it's like, okay, well, if we have like the dance folks, that's easily 100 right there.
Well, and this is what happens when you get to our age and plan a wedding.
Right.
I mean, we just, iterations and times and jobs and
It's like by the time we have like the artists and then like the queers that aren't automatically overlapped within the artists, it's like we ain't even invited nobody we're related to yet. Shit.
Yeah, and I mean, it was even hard among transway folk. It was really tough because, I've got newer folks that have been around a good year or more, and I don't know them as well.
Right.
As the ones that have been to our home, and that we both know and that show up at the dinners. And so it was tough. There were a couple of people I really wished I could have had there, and just it didn't work out.
It was very much like, oh, so-and-so can't make it. That frees up a spot, though.
Well, right. And we did that up until the very end. But,
Yeah.
it gets silly, in that last week. I wasn't going to do that to anyone. Because then, is that better? Like, we come to my wedding in 3 days. I don't know that that's better.
Well, yeah. After a certain
Clearly.
point, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you were on the list. But, yeah.
It's like the club. It's like, oh, we got room for 2 more.
Right. I mean, fortunately, so I loved what we did with the invitation because we put it out via text message, actually. We used paperless post.
Yes.
And it was beautiful. And, it was
This is not a paid advertisement, but if y'all want to sponsor us, we can have some really lovely testimonials.
We could. But it was a photo of us and, it said finally with an exclamation point on the front. And everyone got it at once.
Yeah.
And that was kind of important in this digital age.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then, we were lucky that a lot of people RSVP'd right away. So we knew where we had some space.
Right.
And then we could work our way down that list of, hey, I want you here too. But that worked out. It was great. We didn't.
And now I'm your husband.
You were my husband. I'm your wife.
It's true.
And then we took one day off which was T-Duff. And then back to work on Tuesday because I had a major presentation the following week, and I hadn't written it yet. So I had to go do that.
And you were a motherfucking rock star.
Yeah, I heard good things about it. Heard good things, good feedback. It happened at the NJAMA conference, which NJAMA is the New Jersey Association of Mental Health and Addiction Agencies. So it's kind of the Chamber of Commerce for behavioral health. A lot of friends and colleagues, but we were the only two from our organization presenting, which was pretty awesome because our organization got Agency of the Year, basically. Addiction Agency of the Year. And our CEO got a Lifetime Achievement Award. She will be retiring in September, Kendria McWilliams, who was wonderful. And, part of the presentation, because really we talked about, okay, we built this thing from the ground over 2 years, right? We're now entering year 3. And these are the things we learned. And these are the things we know became important. And one of them was, the absolute support from leadership. And having an ear with them.
Right.
And being able to go to them when things just, we needed some change. We needed things to be different.
Yeah.
And having them listen.
More importantly, yeah.
More importantly, what happened, New Jersey just with this. So the grant that I work under is DMAS, which is the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services in New Jersey. New Jersey just lost $75 million with the stroke of that jackass billionaire's pen because they very effectively were using money that was originally earmarked for COVID to start really important programming in terms of addiction and mental health. And yeah, the money just stopped. And, that means my agency loses over $1 million if this goes through. And that includes my entire grant.
Fuck you, Elon.
Exactly. There's already a court injunction. It involves 23 states. It wasn't just New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
But this vindictive slashing of services, affects real people in profound ways. One of the things that happened the day that this was all announced, and it's going to hurt us if it happens, but, our program continues. And that was wonderful to learn because, they could have fired us.
Everyone was so wet and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, there's a commitment there. And we are up for another Social Innovation Award this year. So let's see what happens with that.
I voted.
Yay. So did I.
By the time this comes out, voting will be closed.
Voting will be closed, but we'll of course update you on whether or not we take home a prize. I'm glad you voted.
But yeah, that's that whole thing. It cracks me up, the people that are like, I don't understand why people are so mad at Elon. He's finding all this corruption and he's fixing it.
He's not.
And it's like, what is your proof of that besides him saying so?
That's the only proof. And they believe him. And he's lying.
And
it's provable.
That's like me going into the next room and then coming out and saying, oh my God, there's a pile of gold bricks in there. You can't see them, but trust me, they're there.
Right.
It's the same thing. I'm finding all this all this like lost money.
No, these cuts are hurting people.
Exactly.
These cuts are digging deep into things that are vitally important, and to the most vulnerable among us. And it is repugnant that the United States of America would treat, fellow citizens this way, fellow human beings this way. It's disgusting. And
it's almost like they don't care about us.
I hope the courts hold, and I hope the courts can stop it. But yeah, no, these people don't care about it. I mean, and every Republican that votes with along party lines, yeah, they don't give a shit who dies. They really don't. They don't give a shit who goes hungry, who loses housing, who loses, they don't care. They don't care. They care about power. And this cult is just a sickness.
Yeah.
And I've seen the meme more than once, but it's like, if you ever wondered what good Germans were doing as the Nazis came to power, you're doing it.
Yep.
You're doing it. If you're not resisting, you're accepting.
Yep.
If you're not speaking up, you're part of the problem.
Being a
And
good one is not a
trust
good
me,
thing.
just because right now it's allegedly undocumented folks, it hasn't been only. They are picking up citizens,
Yeah.
or next to, folks who have an absolute legal right to be here. And if you don't care about that, then if they show up for you and you don't care about due process, if they show up for you and say, hey, you're not a citizen, nobody's going to be there to listen to you say otherwise, because you didn't give a fuck about just due process.
Exactly. I mean, they were snatching people that were pillars of the community.
I know.
Like,
They're still doing it.
out their front door.
It's hideous. It is hideous.
But when I say Gestapo, people get mad at me.
Right. And here's the other thing. It's like the people collecting a paycheck to do this need to check themselves. This rush, to anticipatory compliance is ridiculous. Executive orders are suggestions. They're not laws.
No.
And, I hope y'all get the message soon that, when the Nazis wound up being held accountable for some of the atrocities they did, I was just following orders was not an acceptable excuse.
Nope.
It
was a common excuse, but it was not
common.
acceptable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy to justify. But, these ICE agents and cops who are just like, jumping on this band, it's disgusting.
ACAB includes ICE.
Well, yeah, of course. But no, it's scary stuff.
Yeah.
It's scary stuff, and it's happening. And so, yeah, we got to keep speaking up, because guess what? If they're not targeting you right now, wait. Wait. And if you believe you're safe, because I don't know, skin color, money in the bank, again, careful what you say, I guess, and silence won't save you. So whatever. We're going to see. We're going to see a lot of people, we had major, peaceful protests all over this country, quite recently. Good to see. That has to scare them. Don't stop doing that. Don't stop writing into your congressman. Don't stop telling your politicians that this shit is not okay. I know that it's easy to get cynical and say they don't listen and they don't care, but if it's enough of us, especially if it's the people who, are part of their own party, it will scare them. If they weren't so frightened of we the people, they wouldn't need all this anger. They wouldn't need all this forcefulness. They wouldn't need to burn books and fire teachers for using, a preferred name. We wouldn't need to do all this if their ideas were correct, and if they were confident that their way was, right. It would hold up to scrutiny. It doesn't hold up to anything.
And what I love that came out of the protest, specifically the hands-off protests that were happening
That's
around
what
the country?
I'm talking about.
Yeah. So there was I'm going to call it a movement amongst black folks, basically like, sit your black ass down, like sit it out, let them deal with it.
Well,
and so I saw this video of this white woman, and she was talking about how she went to one of the protests, and she was like, and at first I was like, well, where are all the black people? And then I remember, they were talking about, we're sitting this out. And she said, and I looked around and I realized there were no cops, there were no military presence. And it was like, so why aren't they there when the black people aren't there? And she started putting two and two together, and she was like, oh shit, I get it. Like, I was watching her understand in real time.
oh, good.
And she was like, okay, I get it. Because she was like, I was willing to put myself in harm's way for the rights of people that were not like me anyway. But now that I see, like, really what's going on, hell yeah, like, I'm more angry than I was before. I'm like, you go ahead, sis.
Right.
Now let's see if you go out again.
By and large, it was not black people who brought this about.
Right. And it's not our problem to fix.
Fair. I'm gonna venture, trans people sure as fuck didn't bring it about either.
Thank you.
And can't fix it alone.
Right.
We are too small a percentage of the population. It is the white ladies. It is, if you, as you see people, and we know that's what it takes for Republicans. Mm-hmm. They got to be personally affected by something hard to go, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Well, hold on. Nancy Reagan was there's a meme out there for all the times that she changed her mind because it affected her personally. Mm-hmm. Finally. And that's what Republicans do. That's their ethos. I'm going to get mine. Fuck you and yours. I will give a few pennies at church because I don't want tax dollars to actually equalize anything.
Right.
So I want you beholden to me so that if I don't like you, you don't get my money. My money.
I want to thank you for moving on because I had a really mean Nancy Reagan joke. And I'm glad you kept it pushing.
Let's just keep going. Yeah. You know what's great about Nancy Reagan?
She's dead?
Yep. That. And so is St. Ronnie.
I wonder if they have her throat in the Smithsonian.
I don't know. Is that where it belongs? It belongs somewhere because...
I mean, fewer people will have seen it in the Smithsonian than Hollywood. But anyway.
Yeah, well.
Moving on.
Back in the day, she was quite well known for...
The throat goat.
Mm-hmm. The throat goat. Okay. So we've done a few cultural things.
We did.
Again, these were other things that we were doing while we, you were recording and carrying things. And I was like, scrambling around. We went and saw Rennie Harris, Pure Movement.
We did. So we talked about on the show last year how Rennie Harris, Pure Movement had their 30th anniversary? I think it was.
Feels like 30 would be the early 90s.
That's 30-year anniversary. And how amazing that was. Well, that was part of an artist in residency program that Rennie is involved in at Penn. And so in addition to that retrospective performance that he did, he has to create two original new works for his residency. So the show that we saw a few weeks ago was the first original work of that residency. It was called American Street Dancer.
It was tight.
It was amazing.
It was tight.
Like it took you from, the roots of Africa to today. And like all of it was like street performing.
The storytelling was brilliant.
It really was.
Yeah.
And there were some styles of dance that I was unfamiliar with. Like
and his dancers are the truth.
For real.
The one tap dancer. Oh my God.
I know.
How was she still breathing?
For real though.
I'm just going, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. Well, and everyone else, but
And I love how like the orchestra, it was the Rennie Harris Orchestra, and it was like these young like bucket drummers on one side, 3 beatboxers on the other side, and then in the middle was DJ Razor Ramon. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I said to you, I was like, the idea of the DJ as a showman is something that has been all but lost.
Right.
And it was right back there on stage. I was so happy that we got to see that show. I didn't know what to expect. And it more than surpassed any expectations I might have had.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. If you get the chance to see Rennie Harris, Pure Movement, wherever you happen to be, and they could literally be anywhere in the world at any given point, definitely run, don't walk, because they are a sight to behold.
Oh, yeah. It was, and, they ran it through without an intermission, and it felt like a minute. I was mesmerized. Yeah. No notes. Just can't wait for part 2.
Right? Like, damn, where do you even go next?
We're going to find out.
Right.
We're going to find out.
Because he'll either be historical or topical or both. And Lord.
So, and our friend Julia Scotti, who we have interviewed on the show.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah, Julia, of course, was an America's Got Talent comedian who came out,
Semi-finalist?
semifinalist, yes. Came out to America as a trans woman, which was, God, 25 years ago. 25 years ago, she transitioned. But, that was an act of resistance and boldness. And she wrote a play.
She did.
And I know that there was a reading, and I forget why we couldn't make it to the stage reading, but we didn't.
Right. There was definitely a reason. Otherwise, we would have.
Right. And they did I can't say full production because there were not many rehearsals.
Right.
Most of the actors were not off book.
There was a set.
There was a set.
There was blocking.
Yeah, they did some blocking. They did, it was a production. They did a
Right.
2-night production.
I'd say it was it was like a hybrid of a staged reading and a stage production.
Yes. Great to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like, we're workshopping it. Really great to see.
The script is great.
The script is really good.
Yeah.
It is. It's really good. I love where it goes and where it ends. And
It's got Julia's voice all over
it
it.
really does. And with it, I can see what it has the potential to be, and I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I'm curious to see how it grows.
Yeah, I want to see it done again. I want to see, the actors have more time to work with the material. Yeah, I want to see this grow because I really liked it. I really did. It's set in 1969. Brilliant.
In New York, right?
Jersey.
Jersey, right? Duh.
Jersey, where she's from. North Jersey, where she's from. Yeah. And just outside of New York.
Right.
Yeah.
It had some
Fairview,
of the affectations. That's why I was like, it's definitely
Fairview,
Jersey. Yeah.
New Jersey, yeah.
Yep. Duh.
Yeah. Love and Shades. Can't wait to see what else happens. We should, I'm thinking about having her back on just to talk about, catch up and talk about where we are now.
Right.
I've thought about doing that as part of season 4. Like, let me go back to a few of the folks we had some great conversations with and say, so, how you doing?
Right.
How are we doing?
I mean, we wanted to have Julia on in anticipation of her play.
Right.
But timing.
Marriage.
That.
Stuff. Yeah. Taking a moment for our own personal self-care and joy and celebration was really important, timely, and amazing. Yeah. I think that's the list of stuff we said we were just going to talk about. Why don't we take a break?
Yes.
And then we'll move forward.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
You would never know that through the magic of the pause button, I just performed one of my wifely duties. I put dinner on. I put dinner on.
And I'm so grateful.
I'm just saying. That's the one that got done.
If you hadn't qualified it, I still said, and I'm so grateful.
But no, that was the one. So a lot of people died since last we chatted.
It's true. One being, and I just learned this yesterday, Eliza Ray Shoup, who is the first person in the U.S. to be legally recognized as non-binary. They passed away at the age of 61.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this person was like a detransitioner for a little while and got sucked into that whole ugly world.
Oh, word.
Yeah. And kind of came back around. She actually died January 27th by suicide.
So did we just find out? Because the article is... from last week.
I know. I think them just got around to sharing it. In life, they were a complicated figure in trans politics and culture in 2016, 16 years after retiring from the U.S. Army. Shoup, then 52, successfully sued in Oregon for the right to be recorded as non-binary on government paperwork. And then later in life, apparently Shoup changed pronouns from they, them to she, her. There was a conservative shift after the court case, and she began calling herself a D-sister, publicly denouncing transgenderism as a fraud, playing into the false narrative that trans people are likely to grow out of gender dysphoria. After several years embedded within the anti-trans movement, Shoup renounced her affiliation with such politics in a 2022 blog post, saying she had begun to re-identify as a transgender woman and expressed regret for having sold anti-trans ideologies to the media and the public. The following year, she leaked 2,600 pages of emails from 2019 to 2021 to Mother Jones, and they were later made publicly available by prolific trans hacktivist Maya Arson Cremieux. The Deutsch emails, so named for former South Dakota Republican Fred Deutsch, with whom Shoup frequently communicated, provided extensive details about the strategies of major anti-trans personalities, politicians, and groups, including correspondence between and about members of the Heritage Foundation, Family Research Council, Alliance Defending Freedom, the American College of Pediatricians, which is not the real one,
Right.
and others. Yeah. I got the vibe that they wanted me to help, but they wouldn't trust somebody like me around their kids. Correct. Feeling valued by conservatives had given her purpose, even though she was simply being used. What is it like when somebody like rapid onset gender dysphoria co-creator Lisa Marciano sends me a new mission to go on? I got something to do. I'm useful now. I'm no longer this loser on disability. I'm a useful person to a movement. Yeah. Anyway, of course, this is fun. The day of her death, Trump issued an executive order seeking to ban trans people from active military service. Anyway, she did right. It's fair to say that my intense suffering meant nothing to radical and gender-critical feminists, conservatives, and faith-based groups. Of course it didn't. That fact should serve as a cautionary tale for others who may choose to get involved with these groups at their own peril. By doing so, you will simply become a useful idiot, a pawn in their injurious war against the transgender population. No shit.
Well,
Yeah, complicated life.
to say the least.
And, decided not to move forward after the age of 61. It's hard. It's hard every time. And this not the only story like this, right? Because that's just a thing that feeds the narrative, but it's never true. People don't, go to all the trouble. They might change the word a little bit.
Right.
They might, say, hey, come to think of it, I'm not as binary as I once thought I was. There's some wiggle room. But, Pray Away, which I recommend every Christian watch, those folks who founded Exodus International, and are all, of course, now out and living with partners and renouncing everything they did. And
Being their actual selves.
Being their actual selves and trying to atone for all the damage that they did and all the lives that, they're responsible for ending.
Right.
That one person walking around saying that they were no longer a trans woman retransitioned and is a trans woman. Because it doesn't go away.
Right.
It doesn't go away. But okay, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. I hope that, in death she finds the peace that she couldn't find in life. How's that? What else she got? Val Kilmer?
Yeah, Val Kilmer died. That was sad.
Yeah.
Because, I know I've grown up with his films.
Mm-hmm.
He was 65.
Yeah. Great actor.
Yeah. And,
Jim Morrison and Batman, you know.
right.
He died of pneumonia, according to his daughter, Mercedes Kilmer. He was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014, but later recovered.
Like the first thing I remember seeing him in was the movie Willow in the early 80s. My sister took me to see that. He played Mad Mardigan.
Okay. He was in Top Gun, of course.
Right. One of the gayest movies ever.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my favorite roles was he played the detective, the gay detective in the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. One of the funniest movies ever. Like my favorite line that Val Kilmer had was like, if you look up fucking idiot in the dictionary, do you know what you'll find? And Robert Downey Jr. said, a picture of me. He was like, no, a definition of a fucking idiot, which is what you fucking are.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anyway, he was, a very talented actor. Really owned a lot of roles. That was 2005.
What, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. His neighbors where he grew up were Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. And his high school classmates were Kevin Spacey and Mayor Winningham.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Grew up in Hollywood. He did go to Juilliard. Made a Broadway debut in 83.
Broadway debut in what?
The Slab Boys, a drama by John Byrne about young workers in a Scottish carpet factory with a cast that included Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon.
That's some 80s shit right there.
Right? Yeah, he was Hamlet at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival in Boulder in 88. In 92, the male lead Giovanni opposite Jean Triplehorn in a public theater production of the tragedy 'Tis Pity She's a Whore. Anyway, yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
What else we got? Oh, so I'm old enough to remember Jay North as Dennis the Menace in reruns.
Same.
In reruns, he played Dennis the Menace from 1959 until 1963, before even I was born. Yeah, he died at, how old was he?
73.
73. Yeah, in Florida on April 6th.
It's crazy. His professions under Wikipedia says model, voice actor, jailer, film actor.
He was a corrections officer, apparently. After he left show business, and he also used his experiences as a child performer to counsel other children working in the entertainment industry.
I'm sure that was valuable because Lord knows.
Lord knows, right? So he died in Lake Butler, Florida, at his home of colorectal cancer. He had been battling the disease for several years. He was survived by his wife, Cindy Hackney, and 3 stepdaughters. Jay North.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So we're going to focus on good news from this point forward.
Yes, Lord.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, the format of this show isn't really going to change. But yeah, you're going to notice the good news section is going to be a lot longer and the cavalcade a lot shorter.
Yeah, we need to do that. Because I got to stay interested, and I got to tell you.
I know that's right. I was actually very pleased to see how much good news I could put together. Like I had to stop myself.
There's a lot here.
I know.
All right, well, let's get into it. So while I am not a Survivor fan, I know that Kathy is. Kathy
Yes.
and Bill religiously watch Survivor.
That show confuses me.
Yeah, I hear you. So one of the contestants from last year has come out as a trans man. Terry Chirichillo from season 47 of Survivor.
47.
Yeah.
God damn.
Now is identifying as a transgender man. Apparently during the season, identified as non-binary. Pronouns are now he and they.
Okay.
Yeah, freelance writer who became a fan favorite on last year's season. The first out non-binary contestant. So, I read the article. It's a big, long article. It looks like he was kind of wrestling with that before, but he's like, national television wasn't where I was going to do it.
Right, which is fair.
Right.
It's interesting when you are going on national television like that. Like I was just listening to an interview with Cornbread, who was a contestant on season 14 of 13 or 14 of Drag Race, and she was talking about how she had just started taking hormones when she got on the show, but didn't say anything during the show, and then publicly came out after the show had aired.
Mm-hmm.
And when asked about, like, she was like, I decided to present as my, I'm going to say, quote unquote, boy self on the show because that was the person whose dream it was to be on television. So I wanted to present that way as a love letter to that person.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting take.
You couldn't pay me
to
move backwards in my presentation.
No.
Could not.
No,
I can't fathom. But that's me.
Right. I get it.
Yep.
And I've heard many stories of a lot of girls who went on that show and had to detransition or hide.
Because of what the rules were.
Right. Yeah. Luckily, that's not a thing anymore, but
agreed.
There's a lot of them from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm reading out of LGBTQ Nation, right? There is a program apparently meant to bring necessary voices to the halls of power. The headline reads, electing more trans folks will help fight hate. This unique new program can help make that happen. I see Zoe Zephyr's picture here. The LGBTQ plus Victory Institute, which runs campaign trainings and leadership programs for our politicians, has teamed up with Advocates for Trans Equality to create a specialized training extension specifically for trans, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people who want to run for office. This first of its kind collaboration will focus on the needs and experiences of these candidates and provide tailored resources and programming to address the issues faced on the campaign trail and beyond.
And it's a unique set of circumstances and needs, I think.
The executive director at Advocates for Trans Equality said, from city council to the U.S. House, more and more trans people are running for and winning elections despite the onslaught of hate from the Republican Party.
I like
that. Is absolutely where it's coming from, although some Democrats need to do better.
Yep.
The LGBTQ plus Victory Fund's 2024 Out on the Trail report found that about 15% of LGBTQ plus candidates last year were trans, gender nonconforming or non-binary, a number that has almost doubled since 2020. Trans people who won elections last year include Zoe Zephyr, Iowa Rep. Amy Wickendall, Chicago Water Reclamation District Commissioner Precious Brady Davis, and House Rep. Sarah McBride.
Yeah.
The first out trans member of Congress who doesn't like being first. Even in moments of despair, we are still building power to secure our rights and defend democracy. Trans people are in every state across the country, and we are so proud to partner with LGBTQ plus Victory Institute to ensure our voices are heard at every level of government. Excellent.
Work.
Excellent. We know a lot of folks who have run, and a few who have won. And yeah, I love it. Because, back to the idea, if they know us, if they know that they know us, it's a lot harder to hate us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So this is good stuff.
Yeah,
we should
I love it.
Keep an eye on what's going on. The Victory Institute looks like has an upcoming conference in September. So there'll be specialized training after, the generalized program of the first 4 days, and the specialized training will take place in Los Angeles from September 7 through September 9.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of great.
It is great.
If you have the stomach for politics
That part. That part.
and have interest, yeah, I think they'd probably like to hear from you. So do it.
Like, while you would be invaluable in politics, I think this is a better place for your big mouth.
Yeah, my big mouth. Yeah. Well, that's just it. I'm never gonna bring, that I don't take a stand for anything energy. And I'm just here to serve the people of my state. And I'm not really trans. And please look over there. Whatever that energy is, like, never gonna do that. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing you like backing some Republicans up against the wall. Like, the fuck are you thinking? See, that's what I'm thinking. And that,
Yeah, and that probably doesn't get votes. So,
I mean, it would get my vote, but
well, which I appreciate, but yeah, probably don't want to do that. So, also from LGBT Nation from Thursday the 10th.
speaking of Zoe Zephyr,
Speaking of Zoe Zephyr, Zephyr and freshman trans lawmaker S.J. Howell have been instrumental in defeats for right-wing Republicans. Provisions in 2 state bills that targeted transgender identity in Montana were stripped from the legislation and passed with bipartisan support on Wednesday, the latest in a string of victories for trans rights in the Treasure State. 2 more wins for trans people in Montana, exclaimed Zoe Zephyr. The 2 bills were among 19 anti-LGBTQ plus members proposed in the Montana legislature this year. Yeah.
I love Aaron Reed on Blue Sky.
Her wife.
I love that we're able to say on Blue Sky.
On Blue Sky. Yeah.
Said Zoe is doing work in Montana and teaching everyone several lessons. 1, you can stand on your values as a Democrat and not harm trans people.
Thank you.
2, doing so can actually move hearts and minds in a traditionally conservative state.
Amen.
And 3, there is value in having representation in our halls of power.
Absolutely.
Please and thank you very much.
Unless one of them is an apologist. Anyway.
We ain't forget.
Yeah, I will not. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, like, and that's what needs to happen. Like, yes, I want to see more of us in politics for sure. But, we need some common sense Republicans to stand up. And some have, very rarely, but some have and said, this is ridiculous and it's too much. If they were listening to their constituents,
right?
They don't, but people, other than the rabid MAGA idiots, rank and file Republicans don't even are enough already, because they do understand. Any issues of transgender folk have nothing to do with them other than, we ain't free till we're all free. But
that part.
But, what happens between me and my doctor is just as private and individual as what happens between you and your doctor.
And was always going to be.
And it belongs nowhere near, politicians. Nowhere near them.
Period.
They do not have the expertise. They do not have the wherewithal. They use lies and misinformation and disinformation and quote it.
Yeah.
So that we, go look over there while we rape the treasury and crash the stock market and we all get richer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But God forbid a trans girl plays in sports.
That part.
Craziness. So, yeah, cool. I love that these things are beginning to happen, because let's not forget it wasn't so long ago then they locked her out of chamber, remember?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
It's funny you were talking about trans kids playing sports, and I was thinking about that meme. There are more children with measles in Texas than there are trans kids playing sports in the entire fucking country.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But, priorities and shit.
Didn't I just see something about, I don't know, the crazy Kennedy, who's got a position of power now, said vaccines are the one thing that, control measles. I think even he said it, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's true.
Well, even a clock that's been run over by a swastika
I know, right?
is right twice a day.
Yeah. What else we got? So a trans pilot sued a right-wing influencer who wrongly blamed her for a lethal DC air collision. Good. Yeah, the collision ended the lives of 67 people. Jo Ellis, a transgender woman who was wrongfully identified as the pilot involved in the January 29th DC helicopter collision that ended the lives of 67 people, is suing Matthew Wallace, a social media user who allegedly blamed her for the crash.
Oh, I remember when that all was happening.
Ellis
They blamed it on DEI. They blamed it on her. It was ridiculous.
Ellis says Wallace's misinformed posts led to her receiving transphobic hate messages that made her fear for her and her family's safety. She has filed her lawsuit in a Colorado federal court and is represented by the Equality Legal Action Fund, an advocacy organization that defends wrongly accused or harassed LGBTQ plus people.
Get him.
Concocting a destructive and irresponsible campaign that monetized a false narrative to his over 2 million social media followers. Dangerous shit.
Yeah, you can't just say whatever the fuck you think you can say.
Yeah, while he later published posts to correct the misinformation, the lawsuit says these posts were making excuses for creating viral lies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope she wins and he pays heavily.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm sorry. If you're going to sit and fucking lie,
Right.
you deserve, you should have to pay for it. You should have to.
Right.
There should be consequences.
You have the right to free speech, but you are not free from the consequences of the shit you say. Period.
First, by the way, a commercial plane incident to cause loss of lives in the U.S. in 16 years. And now planes are falling out of the sky. I wonder why. The president blamed diversity and, saying that an unqualified female and non-white pilots. The helicopter's actual operators at the time of the crash were Ryan O'Hara and Andrew Eves, two cisgender white men.
So what else you got? Couldn't possibly have anything to do with interfering with the FAA and air traffic controller.
I mean, she is a helicopter pilot with the Virginia National Guard, but she had nothing to do with the incident.
Of course not.
She won an air medal for acts of heroism. Of course she did. Of course she did. Good God. This is good news because?
Oh, because she's suing the fuck out of him.
Good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Any retaliation, that's great news.
Okay.
They don't get to get away with that shit.
She said, it is insulting to the families to try to tie this to some sort of political agenda. The families don't deserve that. I don't deserve this. I hope you all know I'm alive and well. And this should be sufficient for you all to end all the rumors. But she continued to receive hateful messages. Yeah, because some said they wish she had died in the crash. Others, of course, called her mentally ill. Yeah, okay. And others still made crass transphobic comments.
Because that's all they got.
Yeah. Well, what base human beings. My God.
Yeah, that.
She packed some bags, armed herself, arranged some additional personal security, left her house for the night, worried someone might try to locate her through public records and try to harm her or her family. She said she plans on donating any monetary damages from her lawsuit to families of those who lost their lives in the collision. Good.
Lovely.
I believe in free speech, but I also believe in consequences to free speech.
Thank you.
She told the New York Times. If you can stir up a mob because you say something that's not true, that's your right. But once the mob comes after someone, you've got to have some consequences.
Stochastic terrorism.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Stochastic terrorism.
Yep. Yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. And they have to lie about us to stir up all this bullshit. They have to tell lies because the truth doesn't exist to fit their narrative.
Right.
So they lie about us. Of course they do. So good. I hope she wins.
Right.
Let's see. The mayor of Boise, Idaho, this is from the Idaho Dispatch, refused to remove the pride flag despite a state law. Boise Mayor Lauren McLean is refusing to take down the flag from flying on government property despite a new Idaho law prohibiting the flag from flying. Governor signed this stupid shit into law. It went into effect immediately.
Of course.
It only allows certain types of flags to be flown by government entities. The pride flag, of course, is not on the approved list.
I bet you the Confederate flag is.
Let's see. The U.S. flag, any state flag, military branch flags, POW/MIA flags, tribal flags, and an official city flag. The bill does not contain any punishment for violating the law. No enforcement mechanism is available, so McLean is unlikely to take the pride flag down.
Work.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Because fuck y'all, that's why.
Apparently other city officials said they will continue to fly the flag. Yeah, I mean, this is where we are, you know, and I'm sorry, but fuck your law.
Right, exactly.
Fuck your ridiculous, hateful law. Yeah.
Period.
So, I guess we'll see how much more taxpayer money they will spend in Idaho to insist that flag come down because I guess it makes other people, I don't know what the fuck they're, it should be obvious what they're doing. It should be blatantly obvious. And it should not be okay for any American with a mind. None of this should be okay.
One would think.
One would think. Let's see. The Air Force reverses their ban on sharing pronouns in workplace messages. Well, good.
Right, I love that.
Because how ridiculous. Will other armed forces follow? I guess we'll see.
It's a good question.
Yeah, they banned employees from sharing their pronouns in emails and other professional communications. And the reversal is based on a 2023 law. It's unclear if other military branches will also reverse their own similar bans. On February 4th, Air Force officials told the workforce to remove pronouns in compliance with the president's executive order. Fuck him. Ending all federal recognition of gender identity. Oh my God. It's also dystopian is really the word. The order directed all federal government departments and agencies to remove all statements, policies, regulations, forms, communications, and other internal and external that promote or otherwise indicate gender ideology. Fuck
that
you.
That word. And none of them could define it if they wanted to.
Fuck you. My gender is not an ideology.
Right.
Ideology would be all of your bullshit.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's ideology.
Thank
all of it.
You. Oh my God.
Anyway, after they learned of a provision in the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act, a congressional law, much different than an executive order, dictating the armed forces' operational budgets, stating that the U.S. Defense Secretary may not require or prohibit a member of the armed forces or a civilian employee or the Department of Defense to identify the gender or personal pronouns of such member or employees in any official correspondence of the department. Good. That's good policy.
Yeah.
So in an April 2nd memo, the Air Force reversed its ban on pronouns in professional communications. Good. Military members and civilian workers may now include their personal pronouns in email signature blocks, memorandum letters, papers, social media, and official websites, according to The Hill. Good. I'm just going to keep saying good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Fuck him. Did I say that?
Yes. But you can say it again if you want.
Fuck him.
Yeah. In the ear.
And, and I'm in agreement with a policy that does not require pronouns.
Right.
But they shouldn't be banned either.
Correct.
If you want to kind of, and it's sort of an issue of solidarity. It really is. When cis people put their pronouns in their email signature and kind of normalize doing so.
Right.
Right. It does create a safer world for non-binary folks and trans folks, and you know, to do the same. Because unfortunately, some of us have to have it right there for people to get who we are. Anyway, saying it isn't good enough. But in my own organization, I said this should not be a policy. And they asked me why, because it was going to be. It was going to be like, you have to. And I'm like, mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Then you're forcing people to out themselves or lie,
Right.
who may not be ready to do that. It should be a voluntary policy.
Right. By forcing people, you're doing harm to the very people you're trying to show solidarity.
Right. At least all the women in leadership positions do have their pronouns in their email signature, as of course I do too.
It just occurred to me that I do not have my pronouns in any of my email signatures because, well, for one thing, because I've had those email signatures for so long that I haven't touched them at all. But
which is fine.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's not. Again, I think we've made too much of it.
I know. I was just thinking, like, I would.
Right. I mean, I do. I've run a program specifically for our community.
Right.
So of course I do. But, I did. When I weighed in, I said, we don't force that, because then you're forcing someone to lie or out themselves unnecessarily.
Right.
If they're not ready to, leave them alone.
Period.
Yeah. Let people decide on their own whether they want to do that or not. And of course, we have some folks who think it's some sort of principle under God. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like the headline of this one. Republicans helped defeat a bill that would have jailed parents of trans kids.
Yeah. The bill also would have...
This was Montana.
Yes.
This was also Montana.
The bill also would have jailed medical professionals and website administrators who help trans kids.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, these people.
Yeah, so 17 Republican legislators in the Montana State House helped defeat a bill that would have charged adults with endangering child welfare.
Thank Christ.
If they obtained...
This is what I'm talking about, by the way.
Yeah.
Sane. Yeah.
Yeah. If they obtained gender-affirming medical care, including puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy for any child under the age of 16. The Republicans joined with Democrats to defeat the bill in a 58-40 vote, even though the state's Republican-led Senate had already approved its own version. The legislature will soon... will soon consider other bans on gender-affirming care despite this one's defeat, because of course they will.
Well, they got to keep bringing, it's like, is this all you really have? Is this why you think you were sent to represent your state? Right. This is not governing. It's a distraction.
Right.
The fuck out of my pants and go do something.
Right.
Good. Good on them. Good on all 17 of them.
Right.
This is what we need to see.
Right.
Common fucking sense.
Right. Period.
Because this shit does not belong in politics. It shouldn't be, but we're not the ones politicizing it, by the way. We're fighting for our lives out here.
Right.
Y'all are doing this. They're the ones bringing it. They're the one. You tired of hearing about trans people? Go fight for my fucking rights and I'll shut up.
Period. That's one way to make you quiet.
Yep. Give them back and leave me the fuck alone. And then, you'll hear less of me.
Or maybe we can all agree with the fact that rights are no one's to give or take away. They just are. How about that?
How about that? Colorado Democrat advanced 2 trans rights bills in the face of federal rollbacks. The bill sponsors said they are working to protect trans Coloradans, however you say that,
right,
as the federal government attacks their rights. Colorado House of Representatives gave preliminary approval in a party line vote to 2 bills to protect trans rights this past Friday, in what one of the bill sponsors says is a direct rebuke of the president's attacks on trans rights. Good, yeah. What happens at the federal level is casting a long shadow, and we don't know what the future holds. Said out trans state rep Brianna Titone, a Democrat and the sponsor of HB 24-1309. Passing this bill is about taking control of what we can do to ensure that our friends and neighbors and family members continue to get the care they need regardless of what might happen in the future. Good.
Yeah.
It would make it illegal for health insurance providers to deny or limit gender-affirming care provided by a doctor and codify public health rules that protect gender-affirming care in the state. It would also exempt testosterone prescriptions from a state monitoring program intended to limit the abuse of controlled substances.
Bam.
It codifies existing standards into statute to provide long-term stability and clarity for patients, said State Rep Kyle Brown. State Republicans, of course, tried to amend the bill to exclude gender-affirming care for trans minors. Fuck you. But that measure was rejected by the chamber, where Democrats do hold the majority. Good. Good. The other bill, HB 25-1312, would allow courts to consider dead naming and other forms of misgendering in child custody disputes.
Wow.
Okay, let's see what that means. It would also protect parents from other states who come to Colorado for gender-affirming care if such care is illegal in their home state. It also says that dead naming and misgendering are discriminatory acts under the state's anti-discrimination law and requires schools to accept trans students' chosen names.
Thank you.
Good, yeah. It would also ban schools from having a gendered dress codes. Also good. Yeah, New Jersey is, one of the best states truly to live in. We still got a couple things that do need to be codified into law.
Right.
Because while they are executive orders, that's not good enough.
Right.
They need to be codified into law. Yeah, so the bill's sponsor, Rebecca Stewart, said supporting a child's gender identity is indeed in the best interest of the child. Yes.
Period.
And that support cannot be used against a loving and supportive parent in a dispute. Good.
Right.
Republicans said that this is an attack on parental rights, specifically the right of parents to refuse to accept their children for who they are. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The idea that misgendering your own child is considered coercive control, which is another word for child abuse, because you want to get your child help instead of affirming their delusions, said State Rep Jarvis Caldwell. This is the most disgusting bill I've seen so far. Fuck you, dude. You are so backward and off the mark.
And don't even know it.
Yeah. I want to be able to fuck with my own child unto death. And that's where you're taking them. They still need to get through another vote in the state house and then pass the state senate, which is also controlled by Democrats. Out Colorado Governor Jared Polis is a Democrat as well. So I'm guessing, if it gets to his desk, he's going to sign it. So there we go.
Haha.
Yeah. This is not a disgusting bill. It's good policy. It's good policy that actually takes science into consideration.
Remember science?
Yeah. All the experts. Yep. Remember them? Experts. Remember this? What they have to say. And, none of this is new or controversial. You're manufacturing a controversy that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So talk to me about Wilson Cruz. Why did he unleash on Terrence Howard?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You've been a fan of Terrence Howard's lately because he's been saying good shit on Facebook. Well, he fucked up.
He says some smart shit on Facebook, but, I'm willing to get the whole picture. So what's going on?
So Wilson Cruz, who I always thought was going to be my first husband.
Right, well. Too late. I mean, he could still be your first husband.
No, I'm good. I chose well.
Okay, then.
But anyway, so Terrence Howard went on the PBD podcast.
It's always a podcast where they say dumb shit because they get comfy. Like, nobody listens to this, honey.
And basically, he was talking about, Diddy came up and he was saying how, he's been to... Basically, he was saying, like, he doesn't do that gay shit because he doesn't want to give up his man card.
Did somebody ask you to do that?
So he was saying that men who attended Diddy's parties gave up their manhood. And when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some over greater desire.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Basically, he's saying that, gay men aren't men or some shit.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah. He totally, like, sounds like 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But my boy Wilson Cruz took to social media and said he sure did talk a different talk and act in a different way when it came to working with me in the 90s. Love my work, love my choices, etc. This fool is out here performing to the white man, doing and saying what he needs to do to get over. He is quite literally bending over and doing what pleases the man, and he seems to enjoy it. The truth is, no one wants to work with his tired ass anyway due to his ego and lack of work ethic. So quite literally, go fuck yourself. You are the sellout here. Get him. And, that is evidenced with the simple fact that, he was supposed to be an Iron Man too, but he showed his ass and was like, oh, well, Robert Downey Jr. is making this much money for the second one, and I should make the same amount. And they were like, yeah, but you ain't him. And he was like, well, I should. And they were like, or...
No. Cruz also tagged Howard in his Instagram stories when he shared a post by the Feminist Vibe that reads, maybe you wouldn't feel so emasculated by feminism if your manhood was rooted in something other than oppressing women.
Ooh.
Signing it, sincerely,
Real men. Get 'em. Get 'em. And this is why I love Wilson Cruz.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes me sad.
I know.
But
I know. And I put this here because I know you've been vibing with Terrence Howard lately. But
he has said some brilliant things in posts.
Yeah.
But if you don't think those things apply universally, then
fuck you all together.
Yeah,
he probably copied them from someone else.
Maybe. So should we take another break before we talk about our favorite segment?
I think we should.
Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
Well, it's time for...
People taking pleasure in your pain.
Yay! I missed it so.
I know, right? Me too. So, what's happening? What'd I miss?
So...
What did I miss?
Nancy Mace.
Oh, this bitch.
From South Carolina. The headline reads, Nancy Mace rages at evil constituents who flooded her office with calls about her town hall.
You know what? Play stupid games.
Win stupid prizes. So in a video, the article says, bursting with hypocrisy.
I love that. In a video, bursting with hypocrisy. That is the opening line.
Anti-trans representative Nancy Mace berated, quote, evil Americans for calling her office to express anger over her refusal to face constituents at a town hall.
And she's got no spine.
She said her office has been returning calls from people contacting her about the town hall. She claimed that of the 500 people they have reached out to so far, only one person has had a legitimate concern.
Oh, yeah. She's the one I want to start deciding what is and is not legitimate.
She says, your BS calls are taking away from people who have real needs in our community.
What the fuck would these people know about real needs?
From housing to the VA to job issues.
But that you don't spend your time worrying about those things, sweetie.
Right. Not one person has any issue with the federal agency that we can assist them with.
No, but shut your fucking mouth. How about that?
That takes no effort.
Clearly, she does not consider frustration over her refusal to face her own constituents a legitimate grievance.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that town halls are a cornerstone of democracy, she told those calling that what they are doing is evil.
Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Evil.
It's completely evil, she said. Help those in our community. Help those in need. Stop making up BS excuses that you're trying to put people in harm's way over. Excuse me?
Right.
You don't have any issues that need to be resolved. You're just big nasty. You're big ugly. You're
Being
big
meanies.
hateful. You're big evil. Stop it. Bitch. Mace was made a national name for herself for bullying trans people by bullying trans people, including targeting private citizens, shouting anti-trans slurs during House proceedings, hurling countless insults at Sarah McGraw, told people to go find a fellow neighbor and say something nice and stop being violent with your words. You first.
Thank you.
I love that they're not letting up.
And, I just thought that, if anyone else wanted to, drop a line to the offices of Nancy Mace, I may or may not have put the contact page in the notes to this episode.
Yeah. These aren't real people. This event is being driven by left-wing extremists and paid agitators. Oh, honey, we don't have to pay agitators. We hate you for free.
Word up. Some people would actually pay to tell you to go fuck yourself.
She will not be attending because it's not safe. Maybe that's because your policies are so hideous and backwards.
Right. Whose fault is that, bitch?
Maybe that's why it doesn't feel safe for you. Because if you were actually worried about your constituents, they'd know that. She was perpetuating the GOP's new favorite lie that the hordes of angry constituents flooding Republican town halls are actually paid actors. No, honey, they're American citizens. They're actual patriots. Something you wouldn't know the first thing about.
It never occurs to them that people just don't fucking like them or what they're doing.
You know what? Good.
Hey.
I hope they force her. I hope they shame her into attending a town hall. And then I hope she hears face to face what people really think of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, check the notes to this episode and you can reach the contact page for her offices.
Yeah, exactly.
If you should feel so inclined.
Yeah. Where are your convictions? And why aren't you standing behind them? So a woman calls her gay neighbors disgusting faggots in a viral video. It quickly backfired. She allegedly made threats, called the men disgusting, and said that they probably have AIDS. Allison Murphy.
Of course.
Yeah. She's caught on tape. A homophobic woman has been fired from her job.
Yeah.
After a viral video captured her yelling homophobic slurs at her gay neighbors in the predominantly gay male Wilton Manors neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Right. She moved into the gay area. The queer folks didn't move next to her.
Exactly. A man named Tyson Baker claimed that a woman named Allison Murphy and her husband had spent months parking their white Mercedes in the men's yard and allowing their dog to use the restroom on their lawn. Baker said that he tried to leave Murphy and her family written notes asking them to stop, saying we've tried to avoid drama, but they just keep on keeping on, flipping us off and calling us names every day. But Murphy's father allegedly ripped up the note, shouting homophobic slurs, and flipped off Baker once again. So he finally called the police. In the video, Murphy calls Baker and his husband disgusting fucking faggots and says that they probably have AIDS. Baker then responds that she probably has syphilis, which can cause mental illness if left untreated. There is no clear evidence that either person has either illness.
I know, I love that part.
Put me online, you fucking faggot. She continued, and guess what? I know where your car is. Baker asked, "Is that a threat?" She continued to swear and walked away with the police behind her.
Like directly behind her.
Yeah. Online sleuths quickly identified Murphy just from a video of her own reaction and contacted her employer, Valley Forge Fabrics, with the video. Soon after, the company announced that it had fired Murphy, adding, "The views expressed by this individual do not reflect the values of our company, our culture, or the principles we uphold. We are a company that stands for diversity, inclusion, and respect. We are committed to creating a safe, supportive environment for all." Hear, hear.
Good for
They
y'all.
added, "Hate has no place here."
Bam.
Yeah. That's some fuck around and find out right there.
There you go.
Good. Good. And now everybody knows you, so good luck finding another job. Maybe you could work for a church. That was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, we can breeze through this other one. The University of Cincinnati, preemptively started, licking Trump's ass, putting up biological bathroom signs. Those were quickly removed.
Yep. To the tune of $16,000.
Is that what it cost?
Uh-huh.
Oh, good. Okay.
Therein lies the
That would be the schadenfreude of it all?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, fuck them. That was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous thing to do. And you thought it was just going to happen and everybody'd be okay with it?
Right. Exactly.
Huh.
The response was swift and loud.
Good. This has been your moment of...
Schadenfreude. People taking pleasure in your pain.
Yay!
Yay. Well, husband,
Yes, my wife.
what is your 15-minute fave?
So I was driving. I was driving to get the car inspected, and I was listening to. As I frequently do, I ask Siri to play some music that I would like, and Siri brought this song to my attention, and it was very rebellious and fuck you if you don't like me, and I enjoyed it. It is a song called Cheerleader by Ashniko.
Okay.
And it just made me happy. Basically, like, you're just mad that you're not me. And if I wasn't me, I'd hate me too. And fuck you all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's children's music.
One of the lyrics is, "Tell me how my ass tastes, so no."
Wow. Okay.
So let's go out to the break with Cheerleader by Ashniko.
We'll be right back.
Game face on, hit the post like perfect. Smack my face on the pavement. Nursing, stitch me up, send me back out to dance. Pick my shorts on my ass with my bloodstained hands. KO'd, came to, felt a little funny. Heart full of spiders, legs made of gummy. Who do I have to kill to make everybody love me? I want it, I win it, call it ambition. See the peace, some broken dreams. Pheromones and amphetamines. Drama queen, make murder scenes. Cutthroats and I feel better. Hate me cause I'm beautiful, bitch, I don't like you either. Cheerleader, 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 cheerleader. Tell me how my ass tastes, little bottom feeder. Cheerleader, 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 cheerleader. Hate me cause I'm beautiful, bitch, I don't like you either. Cheerleader, 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 cheerleader. I mean, I'm the lead role, you don't even feature. Sexy, cute, popular to boot. Cup of Drano, lips turn blue. Filler, snip and glue. Am I fuckable? Enough for you. I'm not a guy, I'm a swarm of bees. Wrapped in a skin suit, perfect cheeks. God made me pretty, you made me mean. I brought a blade to the dance routine. See the peace, some broken dreams. Pheromones and amphetamines. Drama queen, make murder scenes. Cutthroats and I feel better.
And we're back.
We're back.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Alrighty. It is time for our brief cavalcade of nonsense.
And I was very judicious with our selections. They're really just here because they are nonsensical and we can make fun of them.
The Trump administration
Yeah.
is refusing to talk to journalists with pronouns in their email signatures. Oh, they're saying that they can't write an honest story.
Uh-huh.
What would the Trump administration know about honesty?
Thank
Right.
you.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. It's just insane. That's all.
It is insane. There's some more insanity out of this administration. A Christian podcaster
This one.
wants now to be frisked, I'll bet he does,
Uh-huh.
by male TSA agents.
Mm-hmm.
I could leave it there
Right.
because I'll bet he does.
Uh-huh.
Because body scanners turn you gay.
Right.
I'm not going through the gay beam machine. Oh.
So rather than
Right-wing Christian nationalist podcaster Andrew Isker, I just wanted to say his name, revealed he's so afraid that body scanners at airports will turn him gay that he regularly requests full body pat-downs by male TSA agents.
he must do yoga because the stretch and the reach
Oh my God.
and the mental gymnastics.
Wow.
Just say you want to be touched by men, sir. Just
say that.
you know.
Right. If that can turn you gay, my friend, you're gay.
You're gay.
That's the thing.
I want to be touched by men's. I mean, I want to be frisked by TSA. I mean, oh girl.
It appears having a guy touch you all over the place on its face seems worse, he admitted, but you don't really know what those things are doing to you. They can just take a picture of me naked? Like, no. Of course, he is mistaken about how airport security scanners work.
Of course.
While they do use millimeter wave technology, that can see through clothing. The images generated by the airport machines do not generate photorealistic images of naked travelers. Instead, they use an automatic threat recognition and detection functionality to digitally look for abnormal shapes on a person's body.
Yes.
Upon detecting any possible threats, the scanners display the suspected body areas on a gingerbread man image for a TSA officer to review. I mean, that's creepy enough.
I know. I mean, I am not a fan of that myself, but you know.
Oh God. He wants a boyfriend.
I know,
That's
baby.
all.
Just say you need a hug and a blowjob.
I know.
And move
or
it
you need to
on.
give one.
Right,
I
exactly.
know him like that. But you just said that shit out loud.
I know.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
Not to mention, like the body scanner thing, it's literally like maybe 2 seconds. Maybe. A pat down is a lot. I realize I'm making his point for him.
Could
but,
you fill me up, please?
Right. Just
I'll be waiting over there.
exactly. Sir,
So I don't turn into one of them. You know what I mean? Here I am.
Sir, you don't need to have you can wear pants for this.
We don't require a cavity search, sir. Please stand up properly.
You can't get on the plane with those poppers, sir. In fact, how did you even get them past the gate?
Oh my. So, this is just hard to fathom. Why did the Supreme Court take this case in the first place?
Oh, I wasn't sure we were actually going to do that.
Well, I'm just taking a look at it. Mahmood v. Taylor is about a small number of LGBTQ plus inclusive children's books included in the classrooms of Montgomery County, Maryland public schools. The books were chosen and evaluated by education professionals. 6 parents, this is 3 couples,
Right.
sued the school district board of education claiming their religious freedom was violated by not having an option to opt out their children from classrooms where the books might be part of curriculum, including when offered as non-mandatory supplemental learning materials.
Right. So really just having them in the library for kids to pick out or not.
Yeah, the school board stated in legal filings the books are made available for individual reading, classroom read-alouds, and other educational activities designed to foster and enhance literacy skills. The books were to be integrated into the curriculum in the same way that other books are used, namely to put them on a shelf
Right.
for students to find on their own.
Yeah.
To recommend a book to a student who would enjoy it, to offer the books as an option for literature circles, book clubs, or paired reading groups, or to use them as a read aloud. The district's communication director, who is probably exhausted, Jessica Baxter, said the books tell joyful stories of folks who happen to be part of the LGBTQ plus community, and that they celebrate and positively portray LGBTQ plus identities. Three couples who are clearly not fucking filed a lawsuit against the school district in 2023, objecting to the books and claiming the district infringed on their religious rights. It's a public school, you jackasses, by not allowing them to opt out their children for potential exposure to the book.
Potential
Homeschool your little bastard.
exposure.
Do that.
God damn.
Yeah, the plaintiffs are represented by Beckett, formerly known as the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty, a legal group with the anti-queer history that includes representing a school that fired a 15-year veteran teacher for being gay and marrying her partner of 25 years. Southern Poverty Law Center describes Beckett as a hardline group that promotes legislation and lawsuits to justify anti-gay discrimination. They have also vigorously pursued banning access to abortion and access to contraception. Because if they manage to rape, because I doubt there's anyone consenting, they want that to stick.
Yeah.
2/3 of U.S. Catholics, Protestants, and other Christians oppose using religious beliefs as an excuse to discriminate against queer people.
What do you know about that?
Of course, UCLA's Williams Institute said that 2.6 million queer adults are raising children under the age of 18.
And those children are most likely much happier than
24%.
their counterparts.
24% of those queer parents live in the Northeast, which encompasses Maryland. 31% live in the South. Apparently 5 million children in the U.S. are being raised by an LGBTQ parent. 20% of LGBTQ people in Maryland are raising children. So a couple of books, not unreasonable. Not unreasonable. So this is utter fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Of course. I can't believe that they agreed to hear this.
I guess they want to settle this shit once and for all.
It's an appeal because they lost, obviously. After the request to force the school district to provide opt-outs while the case was being litigated, lost in both the lower federal trial and appellate court. Federal Court of Appeals Judge Stephen Agee, A-G-E-E, noted there was no evidentiary link showing that the storybooks are being implemented in a way that directly or indirectly coerces the parents or their children to believe or act contrary to their religious faith. How fragile are these Christians? Jesus
Terrifyingly so.
Christ. They reached out to take this case at a very early stage and potentially decide it on a group of parents' claims, despite the fact that the case had not yet proceeded to the point where there was a record of how the books were actually being used in the classroom. The authors and illustrators issued a statement in support of inclusive books. We oppose censoring or segregating books like ours. All families deserve to be seen and heard. Common sense.
Yeah.
So, the books include a picture book called Uncle Bobby's Wedding. Her favorite uncle's marriage means she's gaining another uncle, not losing one. Jacob's Room to Choose, about making schools and restrooms safe for all children. I know. No. Pride Puppy.
How can you hate anything with the word puppy in it?
I know. Well, they really can. They really can. Anyway, this is the kind of crazy horseshit that continues to go on. Thanks for only selecting 3, and they are indeed all nonsense.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we just sift through it. So, Mid-Century Modern, we started watching that on Hulu.
We did. And it's funny.
It is funny.
We still have to finish it. We got distracted by...
something else. Something shiny.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah, that part.
But yeah, we started watching it. It is funny.
You had your conference. That's why we stopped watching it.
Matt Bomer.
Nathan Lane and Nathan Lee Graham.
Right.
And
they're all hilarious.
The late, great Linda Lavin.
And the late, great Linda Lavin, yeah.
Who unfortunately passed away in the middle of the season.
Right.
So we didn't get to that yet. So
no, we did not.
I'm going to see how that...
but it is funny.
It's very funny.
3 gay men of a certain age living together. It's kind of like...
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of is. I think it's, loosely based, right?
So like Nathan Lane would be the Dorothy character.
I guess because Linda Lavin is the Sophia character.
Right.
Matt is...
definitely Rose.
Definitely Rose. And
Nathan Lee Graham would be the Blanche.
I guess, yeah. That makes sense. Kind of.
Even though the Rose character is the one who's having all the sex. It's like it's not a 1-to-1 apples to apples comparison, but still.
Yeah, the dumb one is also a whore.
Yeah.
Which is normally, well, anyway. Anyway. It's funny. Hack season 4 is out. We haven't started to watch it yet, but I really want to.
Yeah, and they're apparently continuing with what they've been doing, which is releasing 2 episodes at a time.
I love that.
So there are 2 episodes to watch at present.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, we're still behind. We haven't seen The Righteous Gemstones yet.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, that's been out.
Well, damn.
You've been all up in your Law and Order, so you ain't wanted to watch nothing else.
Probably. I haven't watched. Yeah. I haven't watched a lot of television. Period.
Fair.
What the hell's Opus, and why was it thwarted?
So while you've been in class on Saturdays, I've been entertaining myself with going to the movies again. And I went to go see what I thought was going to be a wonderful little horror film called Opus, which was about the music industry and what is a cult and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm sitting there, the movie is starting, and there's this like crunchy, scratchy sound that's going above the music in the opening credits. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe that's an artistic choice. And, it's like a dichotomy or something.
Something was fucked up.
But then the movie started, and they're like having this quiet conversation, and the crackling is still there. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to get your shit together, thinking maybe they'll like slap the projector or something. And the sounds will go.
Something will, yeah.
About 10 minutes in, they stopped it and were like, okay, something's wrong, obviously. We're going to reset the projector, which is going to be an automatic 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
I timed the start time of this film so I would get back in plenty of time for you to be done. This would have fucked that all up.
It would.
And so they were like, we'll give you free passes if you don't want to stay. So I did that. I also feel bad for the theater because like they have to make sure that it wasn't like that print or if it was the print that everybody got. So they had to like do some research.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see Opus. I was thwarted.
Got it.
But I did get to see The Woman in the Yard. And
Is that about a woman in the yard?
there is a woman and she is in the yard.
Okay, then.
The whole thing
Truth
is
in advertising, I guess.
supposed to be like a metaphor about grieving and trauma. And the first thing I did was call Lisa and ask, why is it when black folks do horror movies, we got to be all metaphorical and shit? Why can't we just be scary for the sake of being scary?
I don't know.
It felt like Beloved. Like everything was a metaphor for something else.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm just like, ugh.
There was a lot of that.
But it was it was a beautiful movie, but I don't know if I liked it.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to say it was bad. I don't want to say I don't want to recommend it to people. But I actually want to recommend it to people because I want y'all to let me know if y'all got anything more out of it than I did. Ciao. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a horror film, so I don't care.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Going on the theme of things you don't care about. So
Right.
when I'm at work, after all my work is done, I have downtime, and if I'm not like reading a book for the podcast or editing the audio for the podcast, I'm watching horror movies because you're not there.
Right.
And so I did a binge of the Paranormal Activity series, which I had already seen, but this time I was watching it with the intent of seeing it all as one story.
Okay.
And it's interesting, but it all comes down to if white people would just listen.
Doesn't everything come down to that?
Kinda.
Yeah.
That's really it. If white people would listen. And also, like, the one character, Christy, I think the child's name is, like, they did her dirty, and that's a shame. So, yeah, that's what that whole series can be summed up with.
Okay.
And now I am approaching the Conjuring series, which I avoided because I was afraid it would be too scary. And it's scary.
Is it?
It's good, but it's scary.
Okay.
Yeah. But like now I'm in it because it's good.
Okay.
And it's like all supposed to be based on true stories that happened. Like the people that investigated the Amityville horror
Right.
situation, like they go to all these different places and help people that are experiencing paranormal behavior and activities, and it's scary.
Or you do this shit on purpose, so I have no sympathy
I know.
or empathy or any of it.
Any pathies.
Nope. Any of the thieves. Got none.
That's
I don't watch that shit.
and that's where I am.
So I made you chili for dinner.
You did.
And yeah, there's corn muffins.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want to eat some so that I can go to bed and
Good,
go to work
because I'm starving.
and scare myself with some more Conjuring.
Well, this was fun. We're back at the mic.
Yeah. I missed you.
I missed being here.
Yay.
Yeah.
You're
But
my wife.
I'm back. I know, and you're my husband.
I love it.
Awesome. Because not undoing that shit.
I know that's right.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
So you know what we haven't done in a very long time that we need to do right now?
Podcast business.
Yes, let's do that.
All right.
If you haven't already, why don't you swing on by Apple Podcasts or Good Pods or wherever you enjoy our show and leave us a review or a rating or hit that subscribe button. 5 stars or more, please. Follow us on social at Full Circle the Pod on Instagram and Threads, at Full Circle the Podcast on TikTok. You can follow Martha at iMarthaMadrigal everywhere. Her writing can be found at IamMarthaMadrigal.wordpress.com. I am at Neverscared everywhere. Or you can just visit our linktree /Full Circle the Pod. If you have a story idea or some gossip or just want to say hi and tell us we're doing a great job, drop us a line at askfullcirclepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You could also consider supporting Full Circle the podcast by becoming a patron at our Patreon, patreon.com/fullcirclethepod. Starting at just the $3 a month tier, you get access to all of our episodes ad-free and before everyone else. Then, starting at the $6 a month tier, you get access to our behind the scenes and bonus footage, and it only gets better from there. It's fun over at the Patreon. You can also check out our Discord channel, Full Circle the Podcast. Podcast business over. Whew.
Anyway,
Yes,
that's all I got.
me too.
Yeah, it's time for dinner.
Okay,
All right, let's go do that.
okay.
You've been listening to Full Circle,
The podcast.
I am your host, Martha Madrigal.
And I am Charles Tyson Jr.
Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful week.
Bye, everyone. Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, music, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.